Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of the year for Chats from Home with me, Daniel Dunican, and special guest, director of the Irish Youth Music Awards, or IYMAs for short, Mr. Barry Lennon. Barry, thanks for joining me today on the podcast. Appreciate you coming.
Thanks for
Uh,
having me in, Daniel. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Same goes. I suppose could you explain for people what the Irish Music Awards or IYMAs is for those that don't know it?
Of course, Daniel. So, as you know yourself, because I know you've been involved through one of our hubs in Carlow. So, the Irish Youth Music Awards is essentially an all island youth music educational program. It's run through youth clubs and youth services throughout the entire Ireland, including the north of Ireland. And it's really an opportunity to provide a space to empower young people to learn more about the music and creative industries and also learn skill sets that they can apply within life. It's not all just performance based, it's also learning, social media skills, digital skills, collaborative skills, and a lot of other soft skills. And it's really a way as well to provide a platform for up and coming young musicians. And we also have a lot of partnerships with different industry professionals to support and create them progression routes, either whether it's the third level education through our BIM Music Institute bursary, where we see several young people every year progress and have the opportunity to study music at a third level qualification, like a degree. And we have other opportunities with the national broadcaster 2FM to provide on-air support for different musicians. And it's a way really to have fun, collaborate, and meet other young people and create that community across the entire island.
Brilliant, that's brilliant. Yeah, I was involved in it last year. It was a great experience for me personally. It was a great experience, and anyone
Brilliant.
that hasn't done it, you should consider doing it. It will give you a lot of experience with if you want to go into that sort of career. You will get a great insider into it. So for those that you're the director of the IYMAs, so for those that don't know what that entails, what would what's basically what you do as your job as a director? Like what kind of stuff would you be doing?
I guess the short answer is everything. The long answer is obviously, as I said, the programs run through youth clubs and youth service across the whole island. So we have about 14, 15 hubs throughout the whole island. So it's really supporting the direct delivery by youth workers on a local level to roll out the program. So there's a support mechanism there. At the same time, it's looking at ways to further develop the program and create real and tangible supports for young people engaged in it and create a value. So obviously working to work with the creative and music industry to get them involved and to, harness anything they can give into the program. Also to kind of maintain, review the program, update it. That I do some activity around fundraising and developing other supports. Um, Developing bursaries. We have a bursary with BIM College. There's regular ongoing online workshops are now providing for young people, and obviously running the national event, doing all the production management, planning, marketing, PR, project management. There's a long list, but that's probably the
Yeah,
easiest way. And I guess summing it up and saying everything is probably, it encapsulates it in an easy way. And obviously the biggest thing is the youth leaders on a local level rolling out the program is kind of vital for direct delivery. As you know yourself,
yeah.
Carlow Youth Services, there, regional youth services running the program in Carlow. For me, it's really supporting and helping the workers there to see what resources they need and guiding them through that process as well.
Yes, definitely. A lot of work goes into it every year. Definitely an awful
A
lot of
lot of sleepless nights for everyone
work.
involved.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Um, I suppose what positive features has the internet in the music industry, in your
Well,
opinion?
yeah, I guess the really interesting thing is, in my day, you know, um, it was interesting even for myself getting into music and finding out about artists. We have to do a thing that you'll never know the bane of this, Daniel. where we go to a place that was called a record shop. You know, there's not many of them left anymore. And you
Yeah,
go in and you take a gamble potentially on a CD or a vinyl to go, oh, that band, I've heard of them, because you couldn't really, you didn't have the same kind of ocean to dip into, you know, like now you can kind of click on Spotify and you can listen to an artist and then you can be directed after you listen to that record or the couple of songs, the millions of other artists that are kind of categorized in that. Before you had to physically work, do a day job, deliver papers, work in a takeaway, and save your money and take a gambit on buying this CD. And then sometimes you come home and you put on that CD and it was absolute rubbish. But you kept on listening to that CD because you had to wait till the next month or the month after to be able to buy another one. Or sometimes you found absolute gems and gold. So it was a very different kind of procedure than now. So I think where the internet stepped in was really, it has that library, it has that thing online now, that it's you know, it's vastly kind of created a bigger audience and a bigger resource to be able to kind of find new music, or to even go, okay, I don't know what that genre is, or I don't know what that type of music is, but it
yeah,
sounds interesting. And then you have the luxury of going on to Spotify, YouTube, or other platforms, listen to it, and not having to suffer the pain that I suffered as a teenager, that you didn't have to keep on listening to that CD. You can move on, you know. I guess it creates that instant thing, but at the same time, it does create a kind of disposable economy around music. So that's kind of maybe a fault inherent in it. But you know, with every pro, there's a con as well.
yeah, definitely. And I suppose, what would negative features be for it? So, like, in your opinion, what would negative features be for the internet?
I guess the negative features probably for the internet is that sometimes the way we consume music in a digital format. So I think a conversation I've even had, I don't know with yourself, Daniel, but other young people that have been involved in the Iymas program is, you know, the idea of an album, you know, and I've said that to a lot of people over the years, the idea of me going into the record shop, picking up that album, or I still try buy a lot of music on vinyl, on record, and it's sitting down and actually listening to a piece of art as a full entity. You know, when you listen,
Yeah,
like, there is, an album isn't a collection of songs, it's really it's a whole piece of art, it's a whole thing. And I think the danger with even digital consumption of music is we're flicking between singles rather than then when, I think sometimes it's missed when the, not always, but I think the way, you know, even take it Spotify or any streaming platform, the way it kind of gives you the top list of the songs up the start, up the top of, when you go onto the artist profile. But the danger is we kind of delve in a kind of way of just kind of consuming individual songs or the top singles or whatever way they've been released, and it's not actually sitting down and going, this album or this 10 songs is really a whole story, it's a whole narrative, it's a whole piece of art. And kind of, I think that the consumption of music is can be kind of disposable in the context of really understanding an album in a digital landscape or on the internet. But another thing is that there's kind of too much sometimes. I think it's kind of like there is a nice thing in a kind of smaller doses of something, rather than, you know, sometimes even I go out for a walk and I stick in my earphones and I'm kind of bewildered of where to start or what to listen to, unless I'm obviously tracking, you know, what's new out or artists that are releasing stuff. And sometimes it's just literally going back to a classic staple album and turning it on. But I think sometimes the internet is a bit overwhelming in how we consume music. I think another thing is really that whole idea of the album kind of ties into the whole value of music. I think the danger of the internet is that it could kind of devalue what music is, because it's so instant and it's so attainable and it's just there. We don't actually kind of start to think about the creative process, and, you know, there has to be a sustainability for whoever that artist is to create more art, or, you know, they're going to be doing 20 more hours overtime and work rather than being able to, you know, subsidize working part time and having their music, pay for a part of it. So that's some of the things, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. 100% agree with you. Um, I agree with, an album is a work of art and it does tell a story in the sense that um that is important for listeners to know the full story instead of parts of a story. If you get me,
Big
as a
time, yeah.
musician, I would completely agree with you there. I suppose though it's very popular though nowadays, Spotify and YouTube and all gone very
Definitely, yeah.
popular. So what can you do? you
Yeah,
know,
but I think it's just thinking about, going back to that stuff and even approaching these mediums with that kind of consciousness. Like, sometimes I'll listen to stuff on Spotify or like try and then maybe, go to somewhere like Bandcamp where artists are getting a lot more of the percentage and the share and the models a lot more equal. And then maybe going there and going, oh, I've listened to X artist on Spotify. I'll go over to their Bandcamp now and see if I can buy that on record or on vinyl. I'd
yeah,
go directly start try and have a return back to the artist in some way. So I think there's just kind of, everything exists as it is. It's just how we operate it or how we use it as well.
yeah, definitely, definitely. What would be the benefits of Instagram live streams for musicians in
Well,
your
I
opinion?
guess, yeah, I guess like that, that's obviously become a quite a big thing. And especially, I think some artists have kind of used platforms like Instagram and things like that very effectively, especially during lockdown as well. So I guess, like anything, I kind of say, where is your audience? I guess, generally it's the demographic on Instagram is younger. Facebook's kind of, I think, was the prime place, but it's kind of more migrated into being Instagram or TikTok or places like this. And obviously YouTube's quite is more able to handle, has a lot more functionality, I believe,
Yeah,
but I think for immediacy, Instagram's great. It's great to have something immediate. I think with Instagram Live, I think it's good to think out what you're doing and think about the idea that less is more. I think, it's kind of thinking about what you're trying to achieve and being clear with that. And maybe it's before going to Instagram Live, it's starting and just throwing up a one track thing on the Instagram Reels or even snippets. And I think it's just there is a bit of thinking about planning and plotting, because sometimes I think people can see stuff that's done very effectively by other musicians and think that it's just, it's spur of the moment stuff. But a lot of this stuff is well thought out and implemented. So I think when you're doing Instagram Live and stuff, it's to think about why you're doing it, who you're doing it, where's your audience, how you can promote that, how you can bring people to it. Because I think sometimes, like on Instagram, you're flicking around, you jump on something, and it's like, three people viewing it, and it's kind of going, okay, well, that's if you want to just do it. But like, I guess you could download that and you can put that somewhere else or edit that into
yeah,
clips. It's just really thinking about what you're doing. Is a good feature. I think it's a feature that's being used a lot, and I think, as I say, like it's. I know you see some bands during lockdown that were doing regular concerts or regular features or Q&As. I think they're kind of interesting around like where you would, like open it up to the audience and have a questions and answers, or maybe have two people that haven't worked together, or you know interesting kind of discussions around the essence of music and obviously the performance element. So it does open up a lot of new ways to kind of engage with your audience and really promote your craft.
definitely. I did it last year. Now I did a series of live streams,
Yeah, I remember them, they
and
were
I did
great.
some for the Iymas as well
Yeah, yeah.
last year, and it was deadly. It was really good to do.
And
Um,
even with the Iymas one, Daniel, it was nearly trying to, with the live streams, try, because as I say, there's, as I was mentioning, there's hubs across the whole island that are running the program at a local level. So I was trying to kind of key up, I think we keyed up like 6 or 7 of them, maybe more, and we ran them every Wednesday. So one Wednesday it was Carlow. The next Wednesday, it was Limerick. The next Wednesday, it was Galway. So you were nearly like having a destination viewing. So your audience kind of knew every Wednesday I can dip in. So like the guys in when yous were doing it in Carlow, yous knew, oh, we're gonna jump along next Wednesday for Galway and vice versa. And it kind of created that you were kind of creating your audience, you know, it was kind of thought out in that way, though it seemed maybe that I was only, you know, for someone outside, oh, we're on this Wednesday, but then the people that were on the Wednesday went, oh, Galway are next. So you nearly had this kind of community and this audience building. So I think it's just thinking of them things on how you're using these tools. They're very effective tools, but just thinking about how you're trying to use them.
Yeah, it's definitely it was a good experience last year, definitely, and a lot of great acts as well in it last year. A lot
Yeah,
of
and it was great as well to have a gig every Wednesday. You know, I was here kind of making sure everything ran smoothly in the background, but it was lovely to go, oh, it's Wednesday, because I guess during the lockdown you're kind of forgetting what day was what. So it was kind of nice to go, oh, it's Wednesday again. Now at least I know when it's Wednesday. You know.
yeah, I'm still like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard.
um, do you have any marketing tips for artists using Instagram and other social media platforms?
I think it's just thinking about, you know, it's really like all of them is about building your community and kind of trying to create like, you know, obviously people generally start off, they put up something and it might be your close friends and family kind of following you. But I think just be creative, even like we were talking about the Instagram live. Could you do a Q&A with another musician? Could you know, even some of the stuff we've looked at and are trying to implement this year through the Iymas program is the idea of could Daniel and Carlo talk to Barry in Dublin, you know, and have them interchanges where you're bringing together the communities from across different places. And I think as well, it's kind of, you know, if you're showing your support for other musicians, you might get that in return. So I think it's really the tips are really building your network, your community, and trying creative fun things. You know, you don't always have to overthink it, but just trying to get your content out there or look at places that will feature your content. Is there other people that are kind of sharing content? What is the content you're following yourself and how are they doing it? So I think there is a kind of self-reflective thing, but I think start within your own circles, your own community, and build out from there. And maybe is it that, oh, we're gonna have a featured performance on X Instagram account that's not yours? Can they tag you? Can you bring that back? Can you know, migrate some of their audience onto your accounts? And just thinking of that. But I think it's just being like trying different things, you know, and I guess a lot more tools are there to play with. It's just how we play with them and not to like oversaturate them and overdo them. You know, I think sometimes some people think I'll keep on putting stuff up, or where it's like it sometimes take a step back, you know, or like try and engage with the people and go, if you're doing covers, what covers do you want? Post in the comments and, you know, then maybe tag back that person or think of ways that there's a dialogue and there's a conversation, you know, and just to be a bit creative as well and fun, you know. I think they're the key things.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Um, any tips on networking with people?
Yeah, I guess like the networking thing again is similar to some of the stuff I was saying. It's really looking at who's doing what you're doing that you're interested in and just reaching out. You know what I mean? I guess like it's much more easier now to get in touch with other artists that you're familiar with or interested in. And I think there's a lot of easy ways to do it. I think looking at events as well, like IMRO, who are one of our partners, the Irish Music Rights Association organization, they do a lot of events as well. I think looking at their website, seeing is there events that you can go to, is there, you know, private Facebook groups around particular music blogs, is there music blogs? I think just really reaching out to people and being part of the discussion, because, you know, especially in Ireland, it's a small enough community, but it has such a vast variety of genres of music, whether it's hip hop, rock, metal, electronic. There's such a widespread, and because of maybe the small population of the country, there's kind of a niceness and a kind of everyone kind of knows everyone. So I think it's like around the community stuff. I think it's just trying to be part of them dialogues, reaching out to people, look at try and build up your network locally. See even through stuff you've done with the Iymas program. I even see now yourselves and other young people and now we're talking to other young people from the other hubs. So you're kind of doing that quite naturally, but maybe not always kind of perceiving that as a networking thing. But it's really that is networking. Networking is essentially building up your network. So it's kind of where are you? What's the stuff you're interested in? And how can you create them dialogues? And I think it's people are naturally our performers, especially in the performance creative fields, want to do that and want to share and want to collaborate. So I think it's just it is a natural thing that comes about. It's obviously a bit easier more in going to physical events, but there's tons of online events. There's different spaces. There's ways to reach out to people, to DM them, to start them conversations. And I think a lot of people are very approachable, and everyone started off somewhere. And I think most people remember that and want to share that as well.
Yeah, definitely. Um, definitely, I agree. Yeah, I agree there. Um, I suppose for me as well as a musician, like even ever since I did the IY maze and all, I made contacts with with people in different genres of the music. I
Yeah,
suppose country, rock, pop, you name it. That I would be friends with online, and I would be talking and all, and they put up great content and all, and
amazing.
we all kind of support each other in that sense, if you get me. So um, those are great tips for, I suppose, musicians that are trying to start out and everything like that. It is great to do stuff like that. Um, what would be your point of view on piracy?
I guess like all I think any kind of um like piracy in terms of people stealing other songs and all, like obviously all that's bad and shameful. There's no real justification around it. I guess it's I think people should be credited for their work. you know um and that's I think sums it up. People should be credited and supported for their work in whatever means it is. I guess it's interesting now because obviously when I was younger, when I was a teenager, the big things around piracy were around BitTorrent sites and like the sharing of files, and you know this is pre Spotify and pre iTunes, really, which that model of piracy, traditional. When I think of piracy, I think of someone uploading, being able to go onto a BitTorrent site or a download site and being able to pull off the latest album by X artist. I think that's kind of changed generally. I think it still exists, but I think now with the means of the digital platforms that exist like Spotify, YouTube, there's more accessibility, that there's less need for it. But in terms of like piracy around copyright and things, I think people should be accredited for their work and as much as possible be given back the credit in terms of financial rewards or in writing credits or whatever them things are. But I think yeah, they're important issues. Like anyone that creates art should be accredited to that art.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I suppose a way artists do need to be encouraged, cause and I know because Spotify, with royalties and all, you hardly get anything as it is in royalties on Spotify, and but like if someone illegally downloads your songs and all, that's you're losing even more money as
Definitely,
well.
but I think yeah,
And I suppose you know there's, like you said, there's no justification for something like that, and as well as skill and credit for the artist's work, um, there's no justification for that either, because like if I know if it was me, if someone tried to copy my work or tried to steal my kind of songs or anything like that, and like yeah, I won't be too happy. So
And
I
I think
think
a good point you brought up there was just around payment artists, because that was something I was kind of thinking about as you said that, but I kind of wouldn't have put that in the piracy category, because
no,
I guess there definitely does need to be more equal system for artist revenue, which I think is a whole other way to a whole other conversation. But I think it's definitely really important. And when you said piracy, I did actually think of the piracy in one sense of the digital platforms that exist now that don't really have any equal return for artists. But I think as well there is platforms like Bandcamp that I mentioned who like wavered their percentage for one Friday every month last year, and I think they're doing it for a couple of Fridays of the first few months in 2021. And I think there is systems there that have kind of that artists need to go and support further rather than relying on the traditional platforms that exist.
yeah,
And as well, I think there is a bit of creativity around what can be done in terms of merch products and things like that, and create things a bit more exclusive, even if this digital world, in terms of music and without live gigs and all, we really need to kind of look at that a bit better, but be creative as well, and not be kind of looking at playing the victim card all the time. I think there is a way of kind of reversing that and going, oh, I can make t-shirts, or I've been drawing loads, I draw loads in my own time, maybe I can do something creative with that around my songs, or do pictures that represent my songs, or just play around with things. I think don't overthink it as well, and be
yeah,
playful as well. I think that creates more equal means, and some of the tools are there as well.
yeah. I do. I get what you're saying there, because like I think artists should be paid fairly for their work. It's you know I don't think a lot of people realize the amount of work that goes into even just one song.
Yeah,
And like even an album, like let alone an album, you're talking months in the studio
yeah, yeah.
working, editing, mixing, mastering it. And you can understand why artists would want a fair percentage of money, for the amount of hours they put in,
Exactly,
you
yeah.
know, because I know a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of
Mhm.
sleepless nights you'd have.
Can imagine, yeah.
Definitely. Um, I suppose, is there any favorite blogs you have?
I guess the kind of key Irish ones would be Niler Nine. Is a great music blog that's been run for a long time now. It's actually a close friend, and I've had him involved in some of the Iymas stuff. He was involved last year in one of our online workshops. But it's just a great blog to really get a sense of new Irish music, and it's always been a good platform to promote new Irish music as well as international.
Yeah,
So I think Niler Nine's a great starting place to kind of get a sense of popular kind of new Irish music. Also, the Tin Air is very good. Um, they'd be kind of maybe the two go to Irish ones, and I think it's good to kind of get a sense of where you're in, not to limit yourself as well, not that there's a limitation, but to get a sense if we're kind of tying it back to that networking and that community building, see what's going on around you. Then like there's a ton of international ones. It's kind of hard to figure out where to start, and obviously there's so many diverse ones tailored around various specific or genres or kind of types of music. So I think it's really starting where you're interested, and even just starting nice starting spaces, even just googling an artist you like and trying to see where people are talking about your stuff. Because you do even have you know magazines that are kind of specifically maybe hip hop or electronic or rock or anything like that. But I guess in terms of the Irish ones, I just thought it'd be good to really start there and then move out from there and see where artists you like are being reviewed is a good way to start as well.
Definitely, I agree with that. Definitely. I'm I actually haven't seen any blogs as of yet, but after you saying that, I think after this I'll be having a look at a few blogs for definite.
Yeah, and I think even follow them through your social media accounts as well. I think
Brilliant.
it's good to, as I say, start joining them conversations or start seeing, where other content you like is coming out from or where that's being featured, especially if you're kind of see yourself similar or, within that style or whatever. It just gives you a better idea and gives you kind of keeps you up to date in what's going on around.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna keep that in mind now. After this, I must go on to Instagram and all that and have a look at these bloggers.
Brilliant.
Um, is there any recommended podcasts in your opinion for people who want to do music?
Well, Niler Nine actually does a podcast, but really, personally, for me, in terms of podcasts, I don't listen to a lot of music podcasts that often. Really, a lot of the podcasts I listen there maybe history or kind of story based or interview based. Like I do listen to some interview based ones, but in terms of general music ones, I don't listen to an awful lot. Would you believe? I listen to a lot of music, but maybe then in the podcast world, I listen to more like stories about more documentary kind of podcasts, let's say. But in terms of regular music podcasts, I don't actually listen to a lot. I've listened to like dipped in and out, but not, more interviews with artists. But yeah, not listen to a lot of purely, let's say, presented new music podcasts or things like that. Not an awful lot. I'd more go to the album, the artist, or listen to radio as well. Still listen to a bit of radio as well for that kind of information.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned radio there. There's been a lot of talk recently, about some stations and actually not playing Irish music as much as they should as well. And I think it's important as well during this time as well for local and all Irish acts to be ex- get exposure. To to get them, especially for new artists starting out. Like they don't really stand a chance unless radios and all are going to play them. If they want to do professionally and all, they're going to need a proper chance at radio stations now in order to get their names out there. Because social media um does get your name out there, but radio will get even more out there. As
Yeah, and
well.
I think a way to approach that, Daniel, is really, I think sometimes people are kind of going, why aren't the bigger national radio stations playing me? But I think there is a reality that sometimes maybe you're not just there just yet. You're still developing as an artist. So I think a really good way to approach that is to look at your local community radios in your area, look at online radio, and start to try kind of build that profile on a local level. Whether it's in most counties across the island, there is local broadcasters, and they be registered through an organization called CRAIL, CRAOL. So they'd be local community radios stations, that have quite a large reach within your community as well. And there's digital radio stations. There's a lot of people starting to run them as well. So I think there is the opportunity to start even approaching them. But I think there just is, to get your own music to a certain quality in terms of production, in terms of recording, everything else. I'm not saying your music, Daniel, but I'm just talking about as an artist in
Yeah.
general, to really get the music to a production level that
Yeah.
you're comfortable with, and you've kind of checked it with a few people as well. I think that's really important. But I think the opportunity with local radio is the opportunity of maybe going, here, can I come in and do a live session? Can I come in and do this? I think another thing for a lot of young people to be aware of is that radio a lot of the time will ask you to do covers.
Yeah,
And I know I've had with Iymas acts that I've been able to get on 2FM, for example. Some of them are always going, I just want to play my own music. And like that's totally understandable. But generally radio stations for the audience they're serving will like you to do some sort of cover and an original song. So it's just something to consider as well. You know, like I think as well, you have to kind of work around these opportunities. But I definitely think starting local through your local community radio stations,
yeah,
even looking at other artists, like artists that are doing even their own like online radio stations or online radio stations that exist, even outside Ireland. That's the beauty of maybe the internet as well. You can kind of go a bit further afield and go, there is this artist I've stumbled across in Tennessee in America. They're doing this online radio station, same buzz. Can I kind of get them over my content, the clear press release, good information? You know, don't bombard them. Pick very simple one or two songs and get them over your best stuff, best produced stuff, and start from there. But also look at the opportunity of local radio and start building that, because they're all important networks and people have to start local to kind of build within that, because that that's what going to help you progress as an artist as well.
yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, like well, for me, first local radio stations, have been brilliant. When I put out my new single last year, they were KCLR and Caro FM, and all they were
Brilliant, yeah.
been playing my song and all, and it was a great experience. It was my first time, and I agree. People that are starting out, and if they do feel that their song is ready to get out there, you should you should branch to your local radios first and see how they do there, and then go on to, if it does well, the local, go on then to bigger, I suppose. And there's
And
no
it's
harm in trying. There's no harm
that
in trying.
definitely, and a big thing even there, Daniel, that I'm thinking about is like it's these are all learning. You know, the same as playing a gig is completely different than recording an album,
Yes.
because I know when we've done a couple of the Iymas albums and bringing in young people trying to explain to them when we're in these really professional studios, like recording in places where artists like Muse have recorded, and bringing them into experience that real life experience, but kind of going, you know, you are going to be doing several takes. It's not just plugging in and playing and you're
Yeah.
done. It's a whole different process, and similar to going into a radio station and doing a live session is a completely different process. And I think that these are all opportunities to learn and like present yourself in a real positive way. And like at the same time, I even said it to the guys, a few different acts that I've had the opportunity to bring them to the legendary Studio 8 in 2FM, where, you know, massive acts have recorded over the years. And I'm kind of going, as soon as you walk in these doors, like be trying to get a sense of everyone, ask questions. I had the opportunity through organizing it while there to bring down some of the heads of 2FM to kind of chat with them. And I was like,
Well,
don't just say you don't have any questions. Think about that. And I kind of teed up anyone that was in that scenario going, we're going to be meeting this person from 2FM. Last time we were there, we went in and we were in the archive. Start asking questions. Think about this in advance. Research these people. These people are people within the industry. You're asking about
yeah.
networking. They know these things, you know. Everyone that's kind of coming, whether it's this program or another one, is there because they're interested to share with you. So, you know, if there is opportunities for Q&A, do your homework and your research in advance. When you're going to the local radio station, try, you know, you're leaving at the end of it. Don't just head down out the door, go to the presenter. Sorry, would you mind? I'm actually hoping to record some of my own material. I know I was in today doing a cover. I'm starting to produce some of my own material. Do you have an email contact where I can send on information about that? How do you promote local acts? Is there a new music show? If it doesn't fit your show, is there, you know, go on their
Yeah.
website, listen to them, get the ideas, and ask the questions that will kind of support you. Because I know a big focus in a lot of questions I've been asked is always about networking, and it's obviously come up today. So like these are opportunities, you know, these you just need to do your own homework, and you need to put obviously yourself forward in a positive positive and appealing sense to the people that you're around. You know what I mean? Go in, look them in the eye, shake their hand, know who they are as much as possible. And if not, find that out and try build up that contact and that base where, if you're able to go, Daniel, in a couple of months' time, your next single's out and you're able to get that in there, they're going, oh, here's a new single. We're going to promote that. We're going to play that, and then so you at
yeah,
least then you can build up to the next station around the corner, or you can start going, I have a local presence, and start sending it out to community radio stations in all the other counties and start building up them things. So it's just all about, thinking these things through a little as well.
yeah. It's also all a learning curve as well for people as well.
Exactly, yeah.
You only learn
Every
from
day is a skill
experience.
day.
Yeah, you learn from experience more so than reading over textbook. I find that anyway. You learn a lot better from experience and all.
Oh, 100%. But you only learn by doing is my
Yeah,
whole mantra for life. You know what I mean? It's kind of going, do it. And I've tried out loads of different things over the years. When, okay, no, that's not for me, but I tried it and now I understand the process. If I needed someone else to do it for me, or if it was, editing a video or something, I played around with editing software, but I'm not good at it. Like, I'm not at a professional capacity, but now I understand the process of it if I needed to pay someone to edit it something professionally. So it's just thinking around all them things as well, and just, yeah, learn and have fun. Fun's key.
yeah, definitely, definitely. I still have a lot of fun with it, so I won't be retiring just yet.
Brilliant.
um, I suppose. Do you have any favorite music platform?
I guess like Bandcamp. I know I mentioned it earlier. Bandcamp's great. It's as far as like, I think it could have a bit more functionality within it, but I think it's a great place to, directly engage with artists. And really, we were talking about equality there earlier. As I said, sometimes I will on Spotify listen to an artist and then go, oh, I'd like to pick up that record. And sometimes that artist is at a stage where they're, on a small label, or they're self-releasing. It's nice then to jump onto Bandcamp and go, oh, there's the record on their Bandcamp page, and buy it directly from them or their
Yeah,
label, and give them a better share of the revenue, and just kind of have that connection as well. I really like that. Obviously, like everyone, I have Spotify and I use it. It's quite functionally, it's a very good app and a very good platform. It does have its pros and cons. We could do a whole hour or two on that. But I guess between, they would be kind of the two go-to platforms for me. Unless I was kind of, going to a blog, or what going to, obviously I think music videos are quite a key thing as well. And some artists make amazing music videos that are nearly like mini films. So sometimes going
yeah,
there, but that's specifically for one thing generally, or a live stream or something like that, rather than, in terms of music platforms, the main places I'm regularly within is Bandcamp or Spotify.
yeah, definitely. I'm probably more Spotify myself, and YouTube as well for music videos and stuff
Hmm.
like that. I'm actually going to check out Bandcamp once we finish
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
I'm going to check out Bandcamp. I suppose, is there what would the plans be for the IMAs this year? Because I know that's going to be difficult again this year. I'm not sure if you are going to be doing it in Crow Park this year or not. I'm not sure. So what would the plans be? I suppose for this year.
Yeah, so I think, obviously this year we're still in quite a similar circumstance to where we were last year. So I've kind of been working in the background to redevelop the program that it would be able to run online as well as in person when and
Yeah,
them times emerge. But realistically, it's to not lose the momentum of the program. I think last year, you know, the whole pandemic, COVID-19 landed in, let's say, March, where we were already in like a quarter into the year. And usually the program, as I said, would finish with the main event in May time. So we're looking now this year to extend the timeline out of the program and kind of change the structure of the program a little to
yeah,
primarily focus on the education element, where we'll be running for young people engaged in the program monthly industry workshops. We'll be running lots of other supports like that throughout it. And obviously, I'll be working directly. I meet quite regularly with all the hub leaders running the program at a local level. So I'll be feeding various supports into them. We're also looking at different ideas around the live takeover gigs. So there'll still be a lot of them core elements. And then in terms of the event, we'll be looking at an online event because realistically, I personally don't even I don't know the last time I've been in a space with 100 people, let alone 1,000 upwards, which would be the numbers
yeah,
we'd have at our national event. So
yeah,
realistically, we want to keep the momentum, and a lot of the last 3 months has been trying to develop them supports for the hub leaders delivering the program at a local level, and for me to really go, how can we creatively do this that it's fun and it's still giving something to young people. So again, the program is a music education program. So the core focus will be around providing them supports in terms of industry workshops, in terms of online events, in terms of developing creative tools that young people can use, and in terms of really creating them networks we spoke about. So that's where we are. We're up and running now at the moment. You know, it's been great. It's been obviously more of a struggle this year because, as I say, last year we were already in flow, and I think there is a general. At least we're out of January now, so I think people coming into January, it was a lot different January than we've ever experienced, especially with winter thrown in the mix as well.
yeah,
So I think it's just we're evolving, we're up and running. If people want to get involved, official Iymas on Instagram, on Twitter, Irish Youth Music Awards on Facebook. Please go to our social medias, drop us a private message, and then we can
yeah,
direct you if there's a hub in your community, or if you're a youth leader, youth worker, you want to run the program. Please drop us a message there as well. Just we're more than happy to kind of direct people and signpost where they can go to find out more about the program. But it's going to be an exciting year. I think last year was a big learning for everyone, and I think we tried and developed new things around trying to do the takeover gigs, which were really successful and had thousands of viewers. I haven't even sat down with the pen and paper to go back and see how many unique viewers we had, but they were like there were 6,000-7,000
yeah,
across various streams, and that's just taken a sample of 2 or 3 of them. So that figure is only a fraction of what the overall figure is. So it's a real opportunity for any young person or any youth leader to want to run the program at a local level. Please get in contact through our social media channels. That's the best way to find out more. But yeah, it's all go. It hasn't stopped, Daniel. The sleepless nights haven't stopped. But yeah, it's all great. It's really positive, and it's brilliant to see people like yourself now creatively going on and doing podcasts and other elements like that. So, and if anyone's previously been involved in the program, I know I'd said it to you before we started rolling, please reach out. We're more than happy to support any new content or any new creative ventures, even if they're outside the music realm. Just tag us on Instagram, Facebook, drop us PMs. We're more than happy to share all that out and further support you in your next step. So, yeah.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it's weird because I'm only just after realizing like this time last year I was actually preparing for rehearsing off for the highway maze, for this
Yeah,
election. And it's yeah, it's just only dawned on me now. Like it doesn't feel like a year. It does not
yeah.
feel like a year.
I think time's just become a really weird concept. It's like before it was very structured, but I think it was even around Christmas time. I think everyone felt that going. There was you weren't meeting up with people. It was a lot. It was very different. And obviously, with the program, we ran all the regional events. We're moving them onto online now. And
Yeah,
obviously, I would have been down in Carlow with the regional event you performed at. And it's like that's crazy to think that was 12 months ago. That seems like 5 years ago, in one way. Like just because time's just become a very weird concept.
Yeah. Um. Well, like, yeah, it was great. That was actually the last gig I did before
Wow.
the lockdown came. That was the final performance I did in front
Wow,
of
mad.
people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's mad to actually realize that. It's really mad.
That's
Yeah,
strange, isn't it? It's
yeah,
strange.
yeah. It was a great experience as well. Like, it was my first time doing it, and it was a great experience. And
Well, it's
really
great,
enjoyed
a
it.
great energy and a great diversity of acts, and I think that's always been the great thing of the Iymas program. It's not pigeonholed into one genre or one style of music. It's
Yeah,
really anything goes, and the program is developed in a certain way to kind of create that support and that network really to have that foundation in something that's bigger than you and that's bigger than your community as well.
definitely. And for those that haven't done the IYMA, I recommend that you join. You won't regret it anyway. And this is coming from a person that's done it, so you will not regret it. It will change your view as well on the way the music industry works as well. And you'll get an awful lot more experience. And yeah, it was great for me. um and i suppose I suppose it will inspire, you know all of you that are listening to this. I suppose hopefully this will get you to join it and get involved in it this year. Because like Barry said, there's going to be a lot this year. So um hopefully you'll all show your support for the Highway Maze this year. Hopefully, Barry, pleasure having you on the podcast. Thanks very much for doing it. I really appreciate it, and hopefully to do it again with you soon.
Brilliant, Daniel. Thanks so much for me, and best of luck with the next podcast you have lined up. It's been a pleasure. Great
Thanks
chat.
very much. Same here. Thank you. That's it, everyone. Special thanks to Barry Lennon, director of the Irish Youth Music Awards, and hopefully see you all at the next podcast. Thank you. See you all.